Nick Darr here with Big Z Media. Hope you enjoy the episodes of Business Over Brew, and pleased to have the Riverbend Growth Association as the sponsor of this program. Our missions are kind of the same, really. We're attempting to educate people about business, foster business in the Riverbend community. The Big Z has been a member of the Growth Association forever, probably back to our inception as a company almost. We have always been members of the Growth Association, have gotten a lot of benefits from it. There's so many networking opportunities you can take advantage of. I've met so many great people just because I've been a member of the Growth Association and taken advantage of all the events that they have, plus just some of the resources they provide you, the relationships you build, just lots of great reasons to join the Growth Association. They do a lot of great things in the community as well. They highlight a different nonprofit every month. So really, they're just invested in the community here, and especially the small business community, which is what Business Over Brew is really all about, which is helping the small business community, because it's so important to any community to have a thriving business community. And the Growth Association has really helped with that. If you want more information about joining or events that might be coming up, they have events all the time that you should definitely take advantage of. I'm going to give you the website to go to. Just head to growthassociation.com. You can get a membership directory. You can see who's taking advantage of it. You can see about the events that are there, learn more about possibly becoming a member. Or if you already are a member, you can find out what's going on with the Growth Association at growthassociation.com. So just again, big thank you to the Riverbend Growth Association for sponsoring Business Over Brew. Welcome to Business Over Brew. Nick Darr with Big Z Media here. Pleased to be joining you from the Great Rivers Tap and Grill, terrific restaurant here inside the Best Western Premier Hotel in Alton. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do so. They have some of the best food in the area right here at Great Rivers Tap and Grill, a little hidden gem for you to eat at. And very pleased to be joined in this episode by Jake Tenberge, for Vice President of the Board at Alton Little Theater. Jake, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to be here. Thank you.
Tell us just a little bit. Speaking of hidden gems, we have such a great local theater here in Alton, and so really just lucky to have the Alton Little Theater. Tell us a little quick thumbnail sketch history of the theater.
Well, this theater is 90 years old. It has been running nonstop, even through COVID, for 90 straight seasons. We'll start the 90th this next year. It is the oldest not-for-profit theater in the state of Illinois. And we have been running shows now with totally amateur crews for all this time. And we're now up to 5 season ticket or shows. Plus we do many extra shows. We run musicals, we run dramas, we run comedies, and then we put in other events like music. So we'll put in concerts, and we just try to be a event center for Alton.
How did you first get introduced to the theater?
My wife. It's her fault. She actually, when we moved to Alton in 2017, she started to want to integrate into the city. And I said, I'm all in. And everything she did was to get us to learn about Alton and to become a part of it. And she got us tickets to go see a play. And Lee was introducing one of the cast members in the play as being the first time on stage, and had been sitting in the audience and had decided to audition. And I looked at my wife and I said, wouldn't that be cool if Lee introduced me that way someday? Just as a lark. I just said it as humor. My wife signed me up as an audition. She said, you're going. So I went, auditioned, got the part.
What was the play?
The play was Happily Ever After, a wedding comedy.
Okay.
Kevin Frakes was the director. I was the father of the bride. The interesting part was I was father of the bride twice in the same day. My middle daughter got married, and I had a daughter that was getting married on the set in the same day.
Okay, wow. How about that?
So it's kind of interesting, yeah.
Wow. That seems like I guess you just didn't know. Like, comedy seems like a tough one to go out for the first one, I would say.
It was hard. Kevin was hard. He was really hard on me, and I watched him now as other actors come. And I see that he does it to everyone. But he wants you to put a good product on.
Yeah.
So when he's teaching the newer people on how to perform on stage, he has a reason for it. He has a vision, and he just wants us to portray the vision that he has in his mind.
I think people would be surprised, maybe amazed at how good the quality is of the shows that are there at Alton Little Theater with the crew that's there. I mean, I've never been to a bad show. The first show I went to was a long time ago. It was 12 Angry Men, and I was just like enthralled by how good the quality was at Alton Little Theater. Really,
I'd agree. The current play is Violet Sharp, and it is a drama of dramas. I mean, this is the Lindbergh baby kidnapping murder play.
right?
The the people that are listening to it haven't made a sound during the play because it is so detailed and it's so descriptive that even when we come to intermission, they're like, "No, don't stop, keep going," because they want to hear what's going on with the rest of the story. And when it's over, they pretty much walk out of there like they've just been to a wake or to a funeral.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Give us a quick synopsis of the play. I know it's probably by the time this airs,
Right.
it'll be over, but just to give people an idea of the type
Right.
of shows that Alton Little Theater puts on.
So this one is all about Violet Sharp. She was a suspect, the leading suspect in the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, and had the police listened to one of the people that came in early on, she would never been a suspect because her alibi was him.
Mm-hmm.
But she was lying in the first interview, was a little bit misleading in the second and third because she was trying to protect her job. And then there was just a series of coincidences that happened along that just made the police think she was guilty or that she had helped the kidnappers. And they found the baby dead about 4 miles away from the house, a month after the ransom had been paid. So, of course, then it goes from a kidnapping to a murder case. And
Right.
The girl in the end ends up committing suicide. And as soon as she commits suicide, the gentleman that knew that he was the alibi for her came in and said, "Hey, I am her alibi." Totally exonerated her. And everyone in the theater was like, "Oh, that sucks."
Right. Such a dramatic show.
It is.
And just a dramatic story.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't. It's quite some time ago, so a lot of people probably not that familiar with it. So it's great that you guys are bringing it to life. What else is on tap for this season?
So we've got another show that'll open up 12 days later. It's called Gee's Bend, and it is another real story. It's about a group of people in Alabama, an African-American family that didn't want to, also in the 1930s, didn't want their children to suffer through the Depression era. And so they ended up starting to teach them how to quilt.
Mm-hmm.
And they taught them values that they wanted them to have. And they used these quilts to make money. And some of these quilts are actually hanging in the Smithsonian Institute. And it's the story of the hardships that they went through. And it'll be airing, I think, 2 weeks from this Friday.
So more of another sort of dramatic piece, it sounds
dramatic
like.
piece, very much so. And
Right.
it'll cover about 3 decades in the playtime. And then we end up with a comedy. It's called Ding Dong. Translates to, it's a comedy. It's a French farce a little bit about two older gentlemen married, wanting to have affairs on their wives. And two women find out about the affairs. And
Are you in any of these this year?
so I'm in Violet Sharp.
Okay.
I'm not in Gee's Bend. I'm going to be the stage manager for that one. And auditions for Ding Dong happen next Saturday. So we'll see.
Have you done the stage management position before?
I did stage management for the Full Monty.
Okay, talk about that role and what that entails.
Now that one we had to actually put a car on stage, a full-size real car
Yeah, right. That's
on stage. We actually had to convert the stage to a bathroom, which had urinals and stalls. We actually had to turn it into a studio, a factory studio. So all this stuff had to be moved on and off,
Right.
and then the different curtains times. So it was managing all the actors to help move all the stuff on and off stage. So stage management is moving the big props on and off, and then helping the actors make sure that they've got their props in the right places at the right time.
that
Being the director's backbone.
wasn't sure.
It was.
It sounds like so. That was a big one for your first stage management role,
It was.
I suppose. So,
That's right.
for people that don't know, just walk us through the funding process for Alton Little Theater and how these shows get put on.
So we start out with our season ticket sales. So we're opening our season tickets now for the 90th season.
Mm-hmm.
And if you buy your season tickets now, you can get them for $80, which is 5 full tickets, which cuts your price. Normal season tickets are $22. So if you buy the 5, you get them for $80. So obviously that's a
Good
a
deal.
discount. It's
Yeah,
a good
right.
deal. And then what happens is throughout the year, that should give us most of the funding to pay for the maintenance and upkeep of the building. And then we hope that during the year for the tickets that are open would help fund the rest of the show itself for the costumes and the material to build the sets.
Mhm.
And we have enough of the props on hand that we shouldn't need too many props, but if we still do, we'll order that out of that fund.
Right.
And then we'll do extra shows to bring in more money to keep the theater going.
Sure. What other things should people know about Alton Little Theater that they don't?
Well, this summer, Kevin and Lee are going to be holding classes for ages, I think it's 13 to 17 and 6 to 12. They're going to be holding theater classes to teach them all the different arts about theater. And they're going to be holding it through the summer. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they will be working with these youngsters on all of the different facets of what happens in a theater. So even stage management, a little bit of lights, a little bit of costuming, but also how to perform on stage, how to act on stage. And we're looking to maybe develop younger actors. And Kevin's always looking to bring youth into the theater. And this is a way to keep the theater alive and grow.
Right. You've got a military background.
I do.
I assume you've moved around a little bit. I think that, I mean, there's very few places that have what we have
I would
in
agree.
terms of Alton Little Theater.
I would agree. So this is the first place I've ever been that I knew of that we had a community theater. Most of the places we've seen, where you have SAGs, where you've got, groups that will come in, traveling theaters, but nothing where it's all done locally and where you can just audition and take on parts. So no, this is definitely a unique theater from anywhere that I've ever been.
Talk a little bit about the role that you think the theater plays in the community.
I think it's a safe haven for a lot of the people. We are so open. We're a sharing community. We have we want to be a diverse theater, and we are open to when we cast roles, we try to be colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be sex blind. It's like we try to cast a role based on the person's ability to fill it, not on what the role is supposed to be. So if you're looking at a play and you think you want to be in that role, we ask people to come out.
And obviously, even people that maybe have never done it before.
Correct.
I mean, it's something that maybe you want to cross off your bucket list and say, I've always wanted to do that, and the opportunity's there.
Kevin loves to cast new talent. So does Lee. They love working with new talent, mainly because they see a spark of joy when this new talent comes on stage the first time and it gets the round of applause.
Talk about that feeling for you personally as an actor the first time.
Something I never thought I would feel. That when you say your line right and they laugh, it just gives you, like that, wow, I couldn't believe that happened. Or when you deliver a good play. When I did Miracle Worker and I was the father of Helen Keller, you go through that whole play, and I had a role where I had to be the tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you finish that and the audience appreciates the role that you play and they come out and tell you, I remember that. I remember you in that role. You get seen in the grocery stores and something like that, and they remember you as that role. That it tells you that you did that character well. You lived at that character. You brought him to life, and that's what I appreciate.
What are some of the things that you learned? Because a lot of people probably look at acting and say, yeah, that's probably something I could do. But it's very difficult role, obviously. So what are some things you learned about how to get into that and just how to go from being who you are in a normal day-to-day life to playing a role that maybe is totally different from who you really are?
The first thing I learned is that introverts can become extroverts, because I am an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of my life, I am still an introvert. But on stage, I become extroverted. Learning lines is difficult, but there are different tricks to learn them. Everybody has their own way of doing them. So there's not one right way, right?
How did you go about it?
I actually, the first time it was just repetition. Go through, right? And then I bought a software, it's called Line Learner, that helps you. You can record each of the people's lines around you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can either pause your line or you can just play your own, and you can edit your own out and then listen to what everyone else's is and fill it in.
Because I've always thought there's probably a point, if you're worried about what you're going to say and not how you're going to say it, it probably damages the performance, right?
It does, but it's also when you say it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word that I have to hear from the other actor to know that I've got to say my line?
Right. Right. Sure.
And especially if you're not saying anything for a while.
Right. Yeah, because you can go quite a while without being involved, and then all of a sudden you've got to deliver something that is supposed to make everybody laugh, right?
Or it's key to somebody else doing something.
Right.
If you have a statement that you're supposed to make and you don't say it just right, the lights may not change, or something on set, music may not start. It may
Right.
key something else.
Did you make any mistakes that you remember from the first couple of shows?
Very first one. I'm supposed to carry a prop out in my hand. The prop was supposed to be a hospital gown. I'm supposed to hand it to one of the other people on set, and he's supposed to hand it to a female who's supposed to be naked behind the table so that she could come out with it on
Right.
and it alone.
Oh, man.
And my hand was empty. They covered up, grabbed a tablecloth that was really nearby and threw that around her. But yeah, I never did that one again. But yeah, yes, it happens.
That's interesting. What if people would like to get more information about Alton Little Theater? I would just encourage people, go to one show and just check it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the experience.
I would agree. And altonlittletheater.org, and then come to Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. You'll see all the different shows that are going on. Come to the theater. Talk to us. We're open, 10 to 2. Come talk to Lee and Kevin. They're there every day. And if you're interested in anything, if you just want to volunteer and become a part of the theater for anything, even if you don't want to act,
right?
You can be an usher, you can be a bartender, you can work in the box office. If you work, then get your free tickets, right? So you earn enough hours as a volunteer,
right? We'll
give you tickets to go see the shows. So if you're just not sure, come hang out for a while.
Really
Find
is
out what great people they are.
Just a wonderful organization to be involved with, either as a part of the show, as a part of the crew, as a volunteer, or just as an audience member. It's great. At 90 years, it's hard to believe that it's been around that long, and still people that don't know about it. So hopefully we can get the word out and get people to go to Alton Little Theater, check it out, and support the theater, because it really is a valuable resource here in the area.
And for those that have been in a theater but not for a while, all brand new seating,
right?
All brand new floors, brand new carpeting, a lot better lighting. Come out and see the upgrades. There are less seats in the theater, so it's a little more comfortable. The seats are wider, and they have the fold up, so if you have to walk through and stuff, it's not as uncomfortable to move around in there. So it's a lot better environment for the customer to sit in.
Anything we missed that we need to touch on?
I don't know. I think we got it pretty good.
Well, hopefully he's not mad at us for missing something when we get done with the show.
It's her fault.
That's right. Yeah. Jake Tenberge, Vice President of the Board at Alton Little Theater. Thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Go to altonlittletheater.org. Check it out.